Brought to you by WikiVD Documentaries. Chris Benoit. Christopher Michael Benoit was a Canadian professional wrestler. During his 22-year career, Benoit worked for numerous promotions including the World Wrestling Federation, World Wrestling Entertainment, World Championship Wrestling, Extreme Championship Wrestling, and New Japan Pro Wrestling. Industry historian Dave Meltzer considered him one of the top 10, maybe even the top 5 all-time greats. Benoit held 22 championships between WWF, WWE, WCW, NJPW, and ECW. He was a two-time world champion, having been a one-time WCW World Heavyweight Champion and a one-time World Heavyweight Champion in WWE. He was booked to win a third World Championship at a WWE event on the night of his death. Benoit was the 12th WWE Triple Crown Champion and 6th WCW Triple Crown Champion, and the second of 5 men in history to achieve both the WWE and WCW Triple Crown Championships. He was also the 2004 Royal Rumble winner, joining Shawn Michaels as the only 2 men to win a Royal Rumble as the #1 entrant. Benoit headlined multiple pay-per-views for WWE, including a victory in the World Heavyweight Championship main event match of WrestleMania XX in 2004. Benoit murdered his wife and son on June 22, 2007, and hanged himself 2 days later. Research suggests depression and brain damage from numerous concussions are likely contributing factors leading to the crime. Early life. Benoit was born in Montreal, Quebec, the son of Michael and Margaret Benoit. He grew up in Edmonton, Alberta, from where he was billed throughout the bulk of his career. He had a sister living near Edmonton. Influences and training. During his childhood and early adolescence in Edmonton, Benoit idolized Tom "Dynamite" Kid Billington and Bret Hart. At 12 years old, he attended a local wrestling event, at which the two performers stood out above everyone else. Benoit trained to become a professional wrestler in the Hart family dungeon, receiving education from family patriarch Stu Hart. In-ring, Benoit emulated both Billington and Bret Hart, cultivating a high-risk style and physical appearance more reminiscent of the former. Stampede Wrestling, 1985-1989. Benoit began his career in 1985 in Stu Hart's Stampede Wrestling promotion. From the beginning, similarities between Benoit and Billington were apparent, as Benoit adopted many of his moves such as the diving headbutt and the snap suplex. The homage was complete with his initial billing as Dynamite Chris Benoit. According to Benoit, in his first match, he attempted the diving headbutt before learning how to land correctly, and had the wind knocked out of him. He said he would never do the move again. At that point, his debut match was a tag team match on November 22, 1985 in Calgary, Alberta, where he teamed with the remarkable Rick Patterson against Butch Moffat and Mike Hammer, which Benoit team won the match after Benoit pinned Moffat with the Sunset Flip. The first title Benoit ever won was the Stampede British Commonwealth Mid-Heavyweight Championship in 1986 against Gama Singh. During his tenure in Stampede, he won 4 international tag team and 3 more British Commonwealth titles, and had a lengthy feud with Johnny Smith that lasted for over a year, which both men traded back and forth the British Commonwealth title. In 1989, Stampede closed its doors later that year, and with a recommendation from Bad News Allen, Benoit departed for New Japan Pro Wrestling. New Japan Pro Wrestling, 1986-1994. Upon arriving in New Japan Pro Wrestling, Benoit spent about a year training in their New Japan dojo with the younger wrestlers to improve his abilities. While in the dojo, he spent months doing strenuous activities like push-ups and floor sweeping before stepping into the ring. He made his Japanese debut in 1986 under his real name. In 1989, he started wearing a mask and assuming the name the Pegasus Kid. Benoit said numerous times that he originally hated the mask, but it eventually became a part of him. While with NJPW, he came into his own as a performer in critically acclaimed matches with luminaries like Jushin Thunder Liger, Shinjiro Otani, Black Tiger, and El Samurai in their junior heavyweight division. In August 1990, he won his first major championship, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, from Jushin Thunder Liger. He eventually lost the title in November 1990 back to Liger, forcing him to reinvent himself as Wild Pegasus. Benoit spent the next couple years in Japan, winning the Best of the Super Juniors tournament twice. He went on to win the Super J Cup tournament in 1994, defeating Black Tiger, Gedo, and Great Sasuke in the finals. He wrestled outside New Japan occasionally to compete in Mexico and Europe, where he won a few regional championships, including the WWF Light Heavyweight Championship. He held that title for over a year, having many 40-plus minute matches with Villano III. World Championship Wrestling, 1992-1993. Benoit first came to World Championship Wrestling in June 1992, teaming up with fellow Canadian wrestler Biff Wellington for the NWA World Tag Team Championship Tournament. They were defeated by Brian Pillman and Jushin Thunder Liger in the first round. At Clash of the Champions 19, he did not return to WCW until January 1993. At Clash of the Champions 22, defeating Brad Armstrong. A month later, at Super Brawl 3, he lost to Too Cold Scorpio, getting pinned with only 3 seconds left in the 20-minute time limit. At the same time, he formed a tag team with Bobby Eaton, after he and Eaton lost to Scorpio and Marcus Bagwell at Slamboree. Benoit headed back to Japan. Extreme Championship Wrestling, 1994-1995. In 1994, Benoit began working with Extreme Championship Wrestling in between tours of Japan. He was booked as a dominant wrestler there, gaining notoriety as the Crippler after he put Rocco Rock out. In August 1994, Benoit competed in a one-night, 8-man tournament for the vacant NWA World Heavyweight Championship, losing to Too Cold Scorpio in the quarterfinals. But November 2, remember, Benoit accidentally broke Sabu's neck within the opening seconds of the match. The injury came when Benoit threw Sabu with the intention that he take a face-first pancake bump. But Sabu attempted to turn mid-air and take a backdrop bump instead. He did not achieve full rotation and landed almost directly on his neck. After this match, Benoit returned to the locker room and broke down over the possibility that he might have paralyzed someone. Paul Heyman, the head booker of ECW at the time, came up with the idea of continuing the Crippler moniker for Benoit. From that point until his departure from ECW, he was known as Crippler Benoit. When he returned to WCW in October 1995, WCW modified his ring name to Canadian Crippler Chris Benoit. In the Rise and Fall of ECW book, Heyman commented that he planned on using Benoit as a dominant heel for quite some time, before putting the company's main title, the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, on him, to be the long-term champion of the company. Benoit and Dean Malenko won the ECW World Tag Team Championship from Sabu and the Tasmaniac in February 1995, Benoit's first American title. After winning, they were initiated into the Triple Threat stable, led by ECW World Heavyweight Champion Shane Douglas, as Douglas attempted to recreate the Four Horsemen, as the three-man contingency held all three of the ECW championships at the time. The team lost the championship to the Public Enemy that April at ECW Three-Way Dance. Benoit spent some time in ECW feuding with the Steiner brothers and rekindling the feud with Too Cold Scorpio. He was forced to leave ECW after his work visa expired. Heyman was supposed to renew it, but he failed to make it on time, so Benoit left as a matter of job security and the ability to enter the United States. He toured Japan until WCW called. Return to WCW, 1995-2000. New Japan Pro Wrestling and World Championship Wrestling had a working relationship, and because of their talent exchange program, Benoit signed with WCW in late 1995 along with a number of talent working in New Japan to be a part of the angle. Like the majority of those who came to WCW in the exchange, he started out as a member of the Cruiserweight division, having lengthy matches against many of his former rivals in Japan on almost every single broadcast. At the end of 1995, Benoit went back to Japan as a part of the talent exchange to wrestle as a representative for New Japan in the Super J Cup second stage, defeating Lionheart in the quarterfinals and losing to Gedo in the semi-finals. After impressing higher-ups with his work, he was approached by Ric Flair and the WCW booking staff to become a member of the reformed Four Horsemen in 1995. Alongside Flair, Arn Anderson, and Brian Pillman, he was introduced by Pillman as a gruff, no-nonsense heel similar to his ECW persona, the Crippler. He was brought in to add a new dynamic for Anderson and Flair's tormenting of Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage in their alliance to end Hulkamania, which saw the Horsemen team up with the Dungeon of Doom. But that alliance ended with Dungeon leader and WCW booker Kevin Sullivan feuding with Pillman. When Pillman abruptly left the company for the WWF, Benoit was placed into his ongoing feud with Sullivan. This would come to fruition through a dissension between the two in a tag team match, with the two reluctantly teaming with each other against the Public Enemy, and Benoit being attacked by Sullivan at Slamboree. This would lead to the two having violent confrontations at pay-per-views, which led to Sullivan booking a feud in which Benoit was having an affair with Sullivan's real-life wife and on-screen valet, Nancy. Benoit and Nancy were forced to spend time together to make the affair look real. This on-screen relationship developed into a real-life affair off-screen. As a result, Sullivan and Benoit had a contentious backstage relationship at best. Benoit did, however, admit having a certain amount of respect for Sullivan, saying on the DVD Hard Knocks, The Chris Benoit Story, that Sullivan never took undue liberties in the ring during their feud, even though he blamed Benoit for breaking up his marriage. This would continue for over the course of a year, with Sullivan having his enforcers apprehend Benoit in a multitude of matches. This would all culminate in a retirement match at the Bash at the Beach, where Benoit defeated Sullivan. This was used to explain Sullivan going to a behind-the-scenes role, where he could focus on his initial job of booking. In 1998, Benoit had a long feud with Booker T. They fought over the WCW World Television Championship until Booker lost the title to Fit Finlay. Booker won a best-of-7 series which was held between the two to determine a #1 contender. Benoit went up 3-1 before Booker caught up, forcing the 7th and final match on Monday Nitro. During the match, Bret Hart interjected himself, interfering on behalf of Benoit in an attempt to get him to join the New World Order. Benoit refused to win that way, and told the referee what happened, getting himself disqualified. Booker refused that victory, instead opting for an 8th match at the Great American Bash, to see who would fight Finlay later that night. Booker won the final match and went on to beat Finlay for the title. This feud significantly elevated both men's careers as singles competitors, and both remained at the top of the mid-card afterward. In 1999, Benoit teamed with Dean Malenko once again, and defeated Curt Hennig and Barry Windham to win the WCW World Tag Team Championship. This led to a reformation of the Four Horsemen with the tag team champions, Anderson and Steve Mongo McMichael. The two hunted after the tag team championship for several months, feuding with teams like Raven and Perry Saturn, Billy Kidman and Rey Mysterio, Jr. After a falling out with Anderson and McMichael, Benoit and Malenko left the Horsemen. He won the WCW United States Heavyweight Championship before bringing together Malenko, Perry Saturn, and Shane Douglas to form The Revolution. The Revolution was a heel stable of younger wrestlers who felt slighted by WCW management, believing they never gave them the chance to be stars, pushing older, more established wrestlers instead, despite their then-current questionable worthiness of their pushes. This led to the Revolution seceding from WCW, and forming their own nation, complete with a flag. This led to some friction being created between Benoit and leader Douglas, who called into question Benoit's heart in the group, causing Benoit to quit the group, thus turning face, and having his own crusade against the top stars, winning the television title one more time and the United States title from Jeff Jarrett in a ladder match. In October 1999 on Nitro in Kansas City, Missouri, Benoit wrestled Bret Hart as a tribute to Owen Hart, who had recently died due to an equipment malfunction. Hart defeated Benoit by submission, and the two received a standing ovation, and an embrace from guest ring announcer Harley Race. Benoit was unhappy working for WCW. One last attempt in January 2000 was made to try to keep him with WCW, by putting the vacant WCW World Heavyweight Championship on him by defeating Sid Vicious. It sold out. However, due to disagreements with management and to protest the promotion of Kevin Sullivan to head booker, Benoit left the company the next day alongside his friends Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, and Perry Saturn, forfeiting his title in the process. WCW then refused to acknowledge Benoit's victory as an official title reign, and Benoit's title reign was not listed in the title lineage at WCW.com. However, the WWF recognized Benoit's title win, and Benoit's title reign is still listed in the title lineage at WWE.com. Benoit spent the next few weeks in Japan before heading to the WWF, who acknowledged his WCW World Heavyweight Championship win, and presented him as a former world champion. The Radicals and teaming with Chris Jericho, 2000-2001. Along with Guerrero, Saturn, and Malenko, Benoit debuted in the WWF as a stable that became known as the Radicals. After losing their tryout matches upon entry, the Radicals aligned themselves with WWF champion Triple H and became a heel faction. Benoit quickly won his first title in the WWF just over a month later, at WrestleMania 2000, pinning Chris Jericho in a triple threat match to win Kurt Angle's Intercontinental Championship. It was also in this time period that Benoit wrestled in his first WWF pay-per-view main events, challenging The Rock for the WWF Championship at Fully Loaded in July, and as part of a fatal four-way title match at Unforgiven in September. On both occasions Benoit appeared to have won the title, only to have the decision reversed by then WWF Commissioner Mick Foley due to cheating on Benoit's part. Benoit simultaneously entered into a long-running feud with Jericho for the Intercontinental title, with the two meeting at Backlash, Judgment Day and SummerSlam, Benoit winning all three matches. The feud finally culminated in Jericho defeating Benoit in a ladder match at the Royal Rumble in January 2001. Benoit won the Intercontinental title 3 times between April 2000 and January 2001. In early 2001, Benoit broke away from the Radicals and turned face, feuding first with his former stablemates and then with Kurt Angle, whom he wrestled and lost to at WrestleMania X7. He gained some amount of revenge after beating Angle in a Ultimate Submission match at Backlash. The feud continued after Benoit stole Angle's cherished Olympic gold medal. This culminated in a match at Judgment Day where Angle won a 2 out of 3 falls match with the help of Edge and Christian. In response, Benoit teamed up with his former rival Jericho to defeat Edge and Christian in that night's tag team turmoil match. The next night on Raw's War in San Jose, California, Jericho and Benoit challenged WWF Tag Team Champions Stone Cold Steve Austin and Triple H for their title. On May 21, 2001, Jericho and Benoit ended the reign, and as a result of the win, Benoit aided Jericho in becoming the 4th Grand Slam champion when he captured the WWE title later in December. The pair used the win as a springboard to challenge Austin for his world title. Benoit got 2 title matches the following week, first losing in a manner similar to the Montreal Screwjob in Calgary, and then losing in a close match in Benoit's hometown of Edmonton. However, Benoit suffered a neck injury in a 4-way TLC match that required surgery with Dr. Lloyd Youngblood. Despite this, he continued to wrestle until the King of the Ring, where he was pinned in a triple threat match versus Austin and Jericho. Benoit missed the next year due to his neck injury, missing the entire Invasion storyline. Championship pursuits and reigns 2002-2003. During the first WWE draft, he was the 3rd superstar picked by Vince McMahon to be part of the new SmackDown roster, although still on the injured list. However, when he returned, he did so as a member of the Raw roster. On his first night back, he turned heel again and aligned himself with Eddie Guerrero, and he feuded with Stone Cold Steve Austin briefly. He and Guerrero were then moved to SmackDown during a storyline open season on wrestler contracts, with Benoit taking his newly won Intercontinental Championship with him. Rob Van Dam defeated Benoit at SummerSlam and returned the title to Raw. After returning to SmackDown, he embarked on a feud with Kurt Angle in which he defeated him at Unforgiven. On October 20, 2002, at No Mercy, he was crowned the first winner of the WWE Tag Team Championship, alongside Foe and partner Kurt Angle. In this, Benoit consecutively helped to crown the 5th Grand Slam champion. As the tag title was the only remaining title Kurt needed, they became tweeners after betraying Los Guerreros. The team would split up shortly after that, and Benoit would become a face. Angle won his 3rd WWE Championship from Big Show at Armageddon, and Benoit faced him for the title at the 2003 Royal Rumble. The match was highly praised from fans and critics. Although Benoit lost the match, he received a standing ovation for his efforts. Benoit returned to the tag team ranks, teaming with the returning Rhino. At WrestleMania 19, the WWE Tag Team Champions, Team Angle, put their belts on the line against Benoit and his partner Rhino and Los Guerreros in a triple threat tag team match. Team Angle retained when Benjamin pinned Chavo. In April 2003, following WrestleMania 19, Benoit then feuded with John Cena and the Full-Blooded Italians, teaming with Rhino occasionally. In June 2003, the WCW United States Championship was reactivated and renamed the WWE United States Championship, and Benoit participated in the tournament for the belt. He lost in the final match to Eddie Guerrero at Vengeance. The two feuded over the title for the next month, and Benoit went on to defeat the likes of A-Train, Big Show, and Brock Lesnar by submission. General manager Paul Heyman had a vendetta against Benoit along with Lesnar, preventing him from gaining a shot at Lesnar's WWE title. World Heavyweight Champion 2004-2005. When Benoit won a qualifying match for the 2004 Royal Rumble against the Full-Blooded Italians in a handicap match with John Cena, Heyman named him as the #1 entry. On January 25, 2004, he won the Royal Rumble by last eliminating Big Show, and thus earned a world title shot at WrestleMania XX. He became only the second WWE performer to win the Royal Rumble as the #1 entrant, along with Shawn Michaels. With Benoit being on the SmackDown brand at the time, it was assumed that he was going to compete for his brand's championship, the WWE Championship. However, Benoit exploited a loophole in the rules and was traded on Raw the following night to announce he will instead challenge World Heavyweight Champion Triple H at WrestleMania. This loophole clause became standard storyline practice, with the Royal Rumble winner being free to choose the title for which he will challenge, until the WWE and World Heavyweight Championships were unified as the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at the 2013 TLC event. Though the match was originally intended to be a one-on-one match, Shawn Michaels, whose last man standing match against Triple H at the Royal Rumble for the World Heavyweight Championship ended in a draw, thought that he deserved to be in the main event. When it was time for Benoit to sign the contract putting himself in the main event, Michaels superkicked him and signed his name on the contract, which eventually resulted in a triple threat match between Michaels, Benoit, and the champion, Triple H, on March 14, 2004, at WrestleMania XX. Benoit won the World Heavyweight Championship by forcing Triple H to tap out to his signature submission move, the Crippler Crossface, in a highly acclaimed match. The match marked the first time the main event of the WrestleMania ended in submission. After the match, Benoit celebrated his win with then reigning WWE Champion Eddie Guerrero. The rematch was held at Backlash in Benoit's hometown of Edmonton. It was Michaels who ended up submitting to Benoit's sharpshooter, allowing Benoit to retain his title. The next night in Calgary, he and Edge won the World Tag Team title from Batista and Ric Flair, making Benoit a double champion. The 3 months following his victory at Backlash, Benoit and Edge engaged in a rivalry with La Resistance for the World Tag Team Championship, which saw a series of matches, while simultaneously having confrontations with Kane over the world title. Benoit wrestled in 2 matches at Bad Blood in his respective rivalries. He and Edge failed to regain the World Tag Team title while he successfully defended the world title against Kane. A month later at Vengeance, Benoit retained the title against Triple H on August 15, 2004. Benoit was defeated by Randy Orton for the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam. Benoit then teamed with William Regal at Unforgiven against Ric Flair and Batista in a winning effort. Benoit then feuded with Edge, leading to Taboo Tuesday, where Benoit, Edge, and Shawn Michaels were all put into a poll to see who would face Triple H for the World Heavyweight title that night. Michaels received the most votes, and as a result, Edge and Benoit were forced to team up to face the then tag team champions, La Resistance. In the same night, however, Edge deserted Benoit during the match and Benoit was forced to take on both members of La Resistance by himself. He still managed to win the World Tag Team title. At Survivor Series, Benoit sided with Randy Orton's team while Edge teamed with Triple H's team, and while Edge was able to pin Benoit after a pedigree, Orton's team won. The Benoit-Edge feud ended at New Year's Revolution. The feud stopped abruptly, as Edge feuded with Shawn Michaels, and Benoit entered the Royal Rumble. The two then continued to have matches in the following weeks until the two of them, Chris Jericho, Shelton Benjamin, Kane, and Christian, were placed in the Money in the Bank ladder match at WrestleMania 21. Edge won the match by knocking Benoit off and smashing his arm with the ladder. The feud finally culminated in a last man standing match at Backlash, which Edge won with a brick shot to the back of Benoit's head. Thank you for watching. Brought to you by WikiVD Documentaries. Please like and subscribe below. Please like and subscribe below.